Hi, this is Sean Hessinger, and welcome to Small Biz in 15, the show where we bring you small business success in 15 minutes or less. Remember to like us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube if you enjoy the show. COVID-19 has affected small businesses in some very significant ways. And if you'd like to know just how, our next guest can probably give you an inkling. Our sister site bizsugar.com has two comprehensive surveys of small business owners, one from before and one from after the pandemic. Here to discuss them in greater detail is Ivana Taylor of DIY Marketers, who conducted the surveys. Okay, Ivana, let's get into the results of the survey, and let's start with just asking the question: what do you think is the most startling result that you saw in the post-pandemic survey as opposed to the prior, before the pandemic?
Well, Sean, the first thing I'm going to say is I didn't realize how powerful this particular survey was until I saw the pre and the post results and compared the two. Now, you and I have both looked at a lot of research during this pandemic, but one of the things that I felt was truly powerful and unique about this Biz Sugar survey was the nuance that you got to see about how small business owners actually lived through the pandemic. The original survey ran from October 2019 through the end of December. So the pandemic had not hit yet. There was like this little thing in December, right? And then nothing happened. We started this 2021 survey in October of 2021, and it ran through January of 2022. So what makes this survey unique in so many ways is that our respondents had the benefit of having already lived through the pandemic. We ran a little mini one and it was useless, so we're not talking about it because everyone was still reeling and still shocked. But this particular survey and the results in this survey, why I think they're so important for so many, is that it really tells you how small business owners, Main Street business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, freelancers, people like you, people like me, actually dealt with the pandemic. So I think that's really, really important. And I know it's not, we're going to dig into the data, but I just want to tell you folks, I review a lot of data. I look at a lot of different surveys and I have. But this one was insanely informative and powerful. So I'm just going to begin by saying that.
Is there a particular data point or a particular conclusion that surprised you?
Well, I suppose what really jumped out at me was, now of course you can't know this until you're like really comparing the two, right? Every small business owner, I always say, cares about three things: getting customers, keeping customers, and making money. Those are three things we all care about. That's all we want to know. So granted, when we ask our respondents what their biggest challenge was, typically in 2019, it was sales. In 2020, it was marketing. And the exact same number of people said that, like 43, 44% in 2019 said it was sales. And like that exact same number of people said it was marketing. And I'm like, all righty. Are you going to be the softball and ask me the question?
Well, the question is, I guess, what do you think that means?
Well,
what conclusions can we draw from that?
What I think that means, and when I, and I think once I say it, it's going to be like, oh, of course. So a lot of the respondents we had, like I said, are Main Street business owners. Okay. So these are folks that are in your neighborhood, like Mr. Rogers used to say, right? They're restaurants, they're businesses that function on an in-person basis. Not all of them, but a decent amount, like 30 some percent, right? That's a good amount of people. So those folks in 2019, of course, wanted sales, because like, who doesn't want sales? It's their biggest challenge. More customers is better. More customers is more money. So sales, yay, always a challenge, right? But in 2021, they said marketing was a challenge. What happened? Did they suddenly say, oh, we're going to advertise? No, they didn't. Think about it. If you're selling in person, if you're a restaurant and people come into your door and buy stuff like a retailer or a restaurant or something, that is a sales function. I want more customers coming in. But suddenly you don't have people coming in. In person is gone or significantly reduced. How do you create that transaction? You suddenly blip over into what we call marketing. You're sending more emails. You might be doing video meetings. You are suddenly in the world of digital marketing, and that is what I don't think sales went away. I think it just got reclassified into marketing because we needed to do more marketing stuff.
I was just thinking as you were saying this, do you think any of it had to do with the fact that brick and mortar businesses that maybe could count on foot traffic just because of location and things like that, and that was their marketing? They kind of weren't thinking of that as marketing until the pandemic hit, even though it is.
Boy, what a great point you're making, Sean. Because one thing, I've come from a large corporation background back in the day. And one of the constant battles that I used to fight was this distinction between sales and marketing. But once you get into the world of small business, that distinction kind of goes away. I mean, you're not going to have a marketing department of 15 people like a big corporation has. You're not going to have a big sales department of another 15 people where the salespeople are out getting business and the marketing people are out there supplying them with materials and all of these things. No, small business owners, we kind of try to do it all together. And so I think that when you ask them a survey question and you give them multiple choice answers, in their minds, that was the really interesting thing. In their minds, they view the function of engaging through email, doing videos, social media. These are all things that we have conditioned small business owners to see as marketing. And so hence sales. See, the story goes like this. This is the story, Sean. The story is pandemic hits. No more face-to-face. I've got to shift my sales thinking, which is in-person thinking, to marketing thinking, which is now digitally acquiring customers. This year, we asked them two questions this year that we didn't ask last year, but I think they were really, really insightful, and I wanted to share those with you. The first question we asked them was, what would you do if you had $10,000? If it just dropped into your lap? And what I thought was really interesting in their responses, well, of course you could guess marketing, right? Because now they know. See, this is the beauty of all the nuance, right? So now they know marketing is like really important. Anything that was on the back burner is now front and center. The second thing they wanted to spend their money on was their website. Once again, related to marketing. They realized the power of being able to engage with their customers and generate sales that was not a face-to-face interaction. But here's a little data point that I thought was fascinating. The third highest response was investing, in particular with cryptocurrency. Now, you might be wondering, why would that be? But the reason
the next question I was going to ask. Yeah.
Why would they do that? Why would they list that? But I'm going to tell you, because if there's anything that the pandemic taught small business owners, it's that we did not have a slush fund. We were sort of living hand to mouth when it came to from revenue and marketing, revenue and sales and paying our expenses. everything was really tight. So when things shut down, when you had to live off of nothing and you didn't have any money to invest or a lot of money to invest, your risk was greatly increased. And so suddenly, and I think this is a great thing, small business owners were thinking about diversifying and limiting risk.
So Ivana, why don't you run down maybe some of the other challenges that small businesses faced and how they ranked?
Great. So as I mentioned, we talked about sales and marketing as a challenge, but we also asked them about more back office processes challenges, such as customer service, hiring, training, administrative tasks. So all in all, those were distant, like typically ranking, I think like a customer service and operations were typically in the 4 or 5 out of 5 in the 4 or 5 slot. That has not changed at all. And I have to say, I'm a little surprised about that, Sean. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm surprised because on the one hand, when we asked them that question about what they would do with $10,000, and remember there was that surprising little investment and reduction of risk idea, right? If you want to reduce risk, would you not want to keep the customers you have? And I think that small business owners really, the mindset of I always need new customers. I think that it was taking an oversized chunk of brain space. I think customer service was left as an assumption. If I just got new customers, I can deal with them. But as we've seen from the world around us, whether you want to call it the Great Resignation or shifting or whatever you want to call that, I think that you can see that customer service is impacted by all of those other things that didn't rank as highly and consistently did not rank. And I think what small business owners, I hope that what they learn and what they get out of this data is that if eliminating risk or reducing your risk is important enough for you to get into investing where you haven't invested before, why would you not want to invest in something that's going to keep your customers and save you some money?
So Ivana, let me ask you a question I've been dying to ask you, which is, what did small businesses say they hated most about running their business?
Well, Sean, I think what I found really humorous is as much as they said they were challenged by sales and marketing, that those were their biggest challenges. And I think when we asked them where they were going to invest most of their time and what they were going to work on, sales and marketing. And then when we asked them, what is it, the activity that you like least in your business? Sales and marketing, followed closely by administrative tasks and customer service. So I think that kind of gives us an answer as to why some of these things tend to take the backseat.
Everything about running a business is what they hate the most about running a
Everything
business.
well, you know what, Sean? I want to say something about that. I think what I want to say about that the survey really brought out, which is why I keep saying it, there's the nuances and there's so much color in this data. You see, small business owners love serving their customers. They love helping people. They love making a difference in the world. And anything that takes them away from that is a challenge for them, which is once again why I have to get on my soapbox. If you don't like selling and you don't like marketing, well, then for crying out loud, invest in customer service.
Well, that's an interesting response, and it's really I think you've got a lot of very interesting things out of this survey, and I want to thank you again for sharing those insights with us.
Thanks, Sean. Great to be with you today.
And now it's time for our Small Biz Tip in 15 seconds or less. Remember, when making a decision for your small business, use data, not your gut. Intuition may work some of the time, but numbers never lie. Thanks again to Ivana Taylor of DIY Marketers for joining us. And remember to like us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube if you enjoyed the show. For more small business news and tips, join us at smallbiztrends.com.